Good Monday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is the 30th of September, last day of the month, so we could see some volatility in the US market later today. But this morning we will start in Europe, in Denmark with Novo Nordisk, big pharmaceutical company. Interesting development that has taken place over the past few months actually, and now it seems to be unwheeling. We have a shoulder-like pattern here on the weekly with a downward sloping neckline, so that hurts the performance a little bit, but what we can see is that it also is taking out the 806.5 support here. It did that actually Friday. Here we can see the daily chart, it took out that one. There was a little bit of support here at 816, it wasn't that strong, but apparently 806.5 wasn't even that strong either. Opening lower today below 800, trying to crawl back a little bit, but if we are then having a look at the weekly again and zooming in, we can see here on the weekly, well, there is now downside potential to 742 around that level, which is the upper part of this consolidation area here, meaning we could drop lower. RSI is in a negative sentiment. We are below 40 threshold, and we haven't been that for very, very long time. And we can also see there's been slightly declining volume going through, traded volume, apart from the past 2 weeks where it's picked up again. So selling pressure is increasing, so there is a potential down to 740 level, even maybe down to 700. It's a competitor, Eli Lilly, on the weight loss drugs and the diabetes drugs. Also has some time ago in my previous updates, I actually did also talk about this bearish engulfing here that occurred several weeks ago. It almost cancelled it, and but then it has resumed downtrend again. Let's see here, there is a little bit of divergence on the RSI, so also a little bit negative. It has fared a little bit better lately, but it now also seems the selling pressure is coming into Eli Lilly, and Friday it actually closed the RSI below 40 threshold, meaning we had negative sentiment, and I think we could see a push lower here for Eli Lilly also in the coming days or weeks. Maybe this political shenanigans going on in Washington about the very high drug prices on their on their drugs. So keep an eye on that. Eli Lilly, if it takes out the peak here from a couple of weeks ago at 931, well, then it will resume uptrend. But for now, it seems to be stalling. I think we will see a correction lower towards strong support down here could be seen, but there is some support around 800. S&P 500 stalling a little bit. It has reached the 138.2 projection of this correction here. There's no divergence on the RSI, so it is indicating we could see higher levels. However, we could see a little bit of correction or short-term correction here maybe in the next couple of days. It's a little bit stretched, but the US 500 CFD slash the index future trying to push a little bit higher here in pre-market, but we can see it's stalling a little bit, so maybe a little bit of correction lower, but there is room up to 5,800, maybe even 5,821 on the US. On the Nasdaq 100, first it fails to close above 20,211, and now it also dropped back below 20,041. So this gap area here now is back below. That's a little bit of sign of weakness, despite the fact that we are actually in a positive sentiment with no divergence, indicating we should see higher levels in Nasdaq 100, maybe in the coming week, the first week of October. But October is also a bit of a jinx month, where we start getting the some earnings from companies, and of course Nvidia, when that is being released in October, is really will draw some attention. US NAS 100 CFD, we can see it's testing 19,934 support here. Positive sentiment, it should move higher, but again, there's no, well, must in these certainties in these markets here. If it starts declining below 19,934, well, then we could see a correction down to around 19,500, around that level maybe, and we can also see the 55 moving average is actually declining. So there's some conflict here between the short and medium term picture on the US markets. EUROSTOXX 50, well, yeah, it broke above the minor resistance at 5,043, just close of 5,077. This area here, 5,080. A little bit of correction could be seen, possibly dropping below the minor support here. I don't think we will go all the way down to test 5,000, but it is not unlikely. So keep an eye on that. We are in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating we could see a push higher here in the coming week or 2 weeks maybe, especially if it takes out 5,080, then there's potential up to a previous all-time high, but it seems a little bit fragile at the moment. The EUROSTOXX 50 CFD also stalling a little bit, testing the minor support here, could drop down to around 5,000, but I don't think we'll see it picking up again. But as you can see, the moving averages here, we're a little bit far away from them. So expect a correction, but with a slightly bullish undertone. The DAX index also stalling a little bit, but there's no divergence. The RSI value here is, there is divergence. Yeah, a little bit of divergence here could be cancelled today if we get a higher move, but 161.8 retracement, projection got reached, and I think we'll see a correction maybe down to 19,250, but there is a risk down to 19,000. That would be a larger correction. Then I think we will maybe rebounding a little bit. So we are stalling a little bit in the European markets. Germany, 40 CFD, we can see it here also, risk down to around 19,000 correction there. But if it takes out the peak at 19,493, well, then we could see a push higher towards 19.6, maybe a little bit higher. So we are in an uptrend. It is just indicating we are a little bit in an exhaustive move. So it is a little bit fragile. So be wary of that and keep your stops close. The AX Amsterdam index, well, it did close above 909. Strong resistance at 927. We're still in a negative sentiment. It didn't close above 60 threshold. It needs to close above 60 threshold for really further upside potential and for potential to break 927. If it slides back below 909, well, I think the downtrend will resume with a push there down below 900. CAC 40. Well, it did close above 77.25 key resistance. Now it's being tested to the other side. Positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating we could see a push towards the 7,900. But I wouldn't be surprised if we dip below a little bit, and maybe then we will have a next upwards move. And finally, the Swiss market rejected at 12,250, so stalling a little bit. We're also negative sentiment. If it slides back below 12,119, well, we could see a downtrend pressure below 12,000 and maybe down to this support area here. Moving on to the FX market, euro dollar, well, it is just trading sideways. 112 and 112.15, it needs to break out of that level, this resistance area here for upside potential. You can see here again Friday, it did test 112. It did spike above last week also, but it really needed a true break, and a close above would be preferable. If we move back below 110.80, which is the 61.8 retracement of this little uptrend here, well, then we are looking at 110, a key strong support. On the euro sterling, well, it is finding some grounds again around here, 83.40 after it touched the 38.2 retracement of the downtrend there. If it takes out the lows here at 83.17, 83.15, well, expect the downtrend to resume at below 83 and towards 82.5 around that level. I think it will happen. It's just a matter of time. We are in a bearish trend with a negative sentiment. Cable, stalling a little bit here, but if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's actually going on. We are in a strong bullish trend, no divergence on the RSI, as we can see. Let's remove this one, but then we can better see it, indicating we are likely to see cable pushing higher in the coming weeks towards 136.75, which is a key strong resistance. The yen pairs, and especially also dollar yen, got hit hard Friday after trying to push towards the strong resistance at 147.20. But it couldn't manage, and now it seems to be resuming downtrend. If RSI closes back below 40 threshold, which I believe it will, well, then we are likely to see a push down below 140 and a quarter, possibly down to 138 in the coming weeks. It really needs to close above this 147.20, 147.25 to establish a bullish trend, and that's going to be a hard nut to crack. You see the 55 moving average giving a pressure down here, 100 moving declining, and give it a couple of days, then it's also moving below the 200 moving average, which is more or less flat, slightly declining, and that will also give it a bit of a pressure lower. Looking at the weekly chart very quickly, we can see that we did have this bullish engulfing here, but it can be cancelled if we close below 139.57. And we can see, well, the correction didn't even get up to the 38.2 retracement. So we are in a bearish trend, and we could push lower. The euro yen also spiked higher, spiked above its key resistance at 162.90, but couldn't get above the even more important one at 164. And then we had a collapse and a correction down to 61.8 retracement. Bouncing a little bit today, but we are in a negative sentiment, and if RSI drops back below 40 threshold and breaks all this lower rising trend line, expect euro yen to push lower towards the 155. There will possibly be a little bit of a pause here at 156.90 level, which is 786 retracement. If it takes out 155, then expect a sell-off down to 153, possibly lower. The Aussie yen is doing a little bit better, despite also being pushed back below, down below the 99.90 resistance and support. It didn't close above, I think. No, it did not close above. So we are still back below. You see 55 moving average declining, 100 moving average declining. The 200 still very much flat here. It's almost, you can't see it for this line I've drawn. We are at the 38.2 retracement at 98. If it takes out that here in a day or two or something, then I think we'll see a push down to 96.30, which is the 61.8 retracement. However, we do have positive sentiment, so we are a little bit up in the air. So there is, it tells us there could be potential higher, but I think it will also decline here in the coming days, and I think this will be obsolete. Sterling yen, also positive sentiment, but that massive sell-off there was actually a bearish engulfing that took out several days of bullish market. We are below the 38.2 retracement, below 200 moving average. That is slightly rising though, but we see rejected at the 100 moving average. I think we'll see 61.8 retracement, 182.40, 188.40 being tested here fairly shortly. If it does move back above 193.50 and also above the cloud area, which is at 194.13, well, then it could establish a bullish trend. But for now, I think we will see the bearish trend resuming. Aussie dollar pushing higher, and we're going to look at the weekly chart to see what is actually going on. It is taking out 69. That was a strong resistance. You can see it here on the weekly. It spiked above, then it set back a little bit, but now it's pushing higher. There's now room up to around 70 level, and let's just copy that one and push it up. There could be some here at around 70.30. Around that, but not that strong resistance. The strong resistance is up here at 71.30-35 level. However, we have the 200 weekly moving average that will give it a little bit of a downside pressure, but we are in a positive sentiment, and there's no divergence on the weekly, indicating we are likely to see higher levels. On dollar Canada in a correction phase. after the sell-off there, we could see it actually pushing all the way up to the 61.8 retracement. I wouldn't be surprised if that will occur. 136.50. And then we will see a setback. We have the 55 and the 100 moving average coming down here, giving downside pressure. We are in a negative sentiment. However, there is some divergence down here. You can see this value here is higher than this one, but the price here on the actual pair or the cross is lower here. So I think we'll see a correction. If it slides back below the past few days lows here, then I think we'll see downside resuming, testing 134.19. And also possibly lower. And in the bigger picture, we are in a negative, we are in a bearish trend, as you can see here, but it's stalling a little bit at this rising trend line there. On the Euro-Swiss and the Swiss pairs, well, it did, Euro-Swiss did close below minor support here at 94 Friday, trying to get back above, but as we see, we have the 55 moving average coming down there. We have the 100 and also 200 slightly declining, and we are in a negative sentiment. So if we get another drop below 94, and if we get RSI back below 40 threshold, well, then I think we'll see a test of the 93 support and possibly also break. It really needs to take out 95 and a 95 and a change, 95.05 for any meaningful upside potential. The dollar Swiss, excuse me, the dollar Swiss again testing the 84 level. I think it will break eventually, and I think it will be also indicated in a close below 40. I actually think we did get a close below 40 Friday. Yeah, we did. So, but it's still holding on. If it breaks it, well, then we're looking at 83.30 and also lower. The dollar index. The dollar index, well, still holding on a little bit about around here 100 level. There is divergence here on the RSI. You can see RSI values rising when the market has been declining, but there's no strong support until around 99 level, 99 and a quarter, around that level, and it's not the strongest one. Stronger one is down here at 98.60, coming back from this consolidation area and these peaks over here. If we should have any bullish correction, it needs to break. The first indication will breaking above the falling trend line here, establishing at least short-term bullish trend. 101.18 is the key. Gold is stalling a little bit, and I think maybe we could see a correction. However, there is no divergence on the RSI as can be seen here. There's no divergence indicating likely higher levels on gold. After maybe a little bit of correction, first correction support could be around the 38.2 retracement at 26.32, but a correction down to around 2600 is not unlikely. If it takes out the 26.86 peak, all-time high, expect a move above 2700, which is also a new all-time high. Silver also in a correction mood at the moment. Did spike higher. There's no divergence on the RSI, indicating we are likely to see higher silver levels in the coming weeks, but a correction down to around 30.80 should be seen, maybe a little bit lower towards the area down here at 30.5. But then I think we will see a bullish trend resuming, and if it takes out a second time the 32.50 and also 32 here, 32.70, expect a move higher towards 35 level. And finally, copper did massive spike early this morning session above the 468, 471 strong resistance area, and now I think we'll see a correction at least down to the 450, but we could see it down to around maybe 440 around that level. But also here, positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. And if we're looking at weekly chart, and you can see my update from Friday last week, where I talked about, see, we are actually in a strong bullish trend. We are in a strong positive sentiment. There's no divergence. We are likely to see higher copper prices towards the end of the year, going into next year, and also new all-time highs as it looks at the moment. But for now, short term, expect a correction. US 10-year Treasury yields, well, it's just stepping sideways around 370, 380. It really needs to take out 382 for push up to 385 and 392, which is the key strong resistance. I think we could move slightly lower and test the upper falling trend line here again. If it breaks back below the falling trend line, expect a push to 360 and lower. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Talk to you again tomorrow.